Hey everyone, we are officially back from summer break. I know it feels like we were gone for a long time, but we are happy to be still in the garden, and today we're going to show you around a little bit.
But before we do that, we wanted to share an exciting announcement with you. Our garden is officially featured in the Charlotte magazine for the month of September. This is our first magazine feature, and we are so excited that the team reached out and wanted to work with us. It was just a joy. They came and shot photos, they interviewed us. So if you're in the Charlotte area, you can pick up the magazine wherever magazines are sold. We picked up about 4 or 5 the other day at the grocery store because we didn't have enough.
Yes, it's a big honor for us just to be in any magazine, better yet Charlotte magazine. There are a lot of readers of that magazine here, and it's all around town. So it's very special to us, and we'll probably pop a few images up on the screen for you guys to see, just so you can see what they captured of our garden. But it was a wonderful story, and we're very, very proud of it.
All right, so with that, let's take one last look at the summer garden. All right, we're gonna start right here on the Southside garden today. And as you can see, our alyssum is just going crazy right now. So this is probably one of the wettest spots in our garden. And we have put alyssum here a couple of times, and I'll tell you what it does. Early spring, it does really, really great. It is very full, lots of blooms. And then for most of the summer, it is just foliage. And it's in those moments that we always think like, well, we should just pull it out. And there was one that Brian actually cut almost all the way back to the base. But if you leave it and you have it in a spot where it's getting consistent moisture, as the temperatures start to cool, you will actually start to see more blooms. And it is just really bulking up right now. I love it. This is the Blushing Princess variety. And my thoughts on this variety, I don't know how you feel, Brian. My thoughts are this is not a bright enough white. It is pretty. It is supposed to have like a purple hue. But I think because the flowers of alyssum are so small, it actually just ends up looking gray and kind of dull. And I think that the foliage actually looks a little gray too. Now don't get me wrong, it is still really pretty and it is a nice bright pop right here. But I think next year if we do alyssum in this spot again, we're gonna do probably like Snow Princess or White Knight, something that is a little bit more fully white.
Yeah, I think so too. I like this color, and I'm going to say I think it's probably my fault that we picked it, just because I really liked it in the garden center.
It is pretty. It's eye-catching. Like when you see it in the small 4-inch, you're like, oh, that looks so cool and purple.
Yeah, but I do think that the brighter white would look really pretty. One thing I also want to flag about alyssum is that in the hottest part of the summer, you definitely will see it go out just a little bit for you. It'll start browning out and look like it's crisping up. And then as soon as it cools down, if you just give it a little shear, it flushes right back out. So this is one that likes the cooler temps a little bit more.
Yep. And as long as you put it in a spot that gets consistent moisture, it should last. I mean, we're in the South, you guys. So if we can grow alyssum here, you definitely can grow it wherever you are. We've got the Golden Dreams Coleus back here, which we have shown off a lot. They're doing really, really great. And you know what's interesting about this one, Brian? This one hasn't set blooms at all.
Yeah, that's
like not a single bloom.
Yeah, actually, this is the only one in the garden that hasn't set blooms. I'll say all the rest of them, even though super, super minimal, this one hasn't set blooms at all.
Which is really interesting. And clearly it's allowing it to just get taller and taller, which we love. It's really filling up the space. The Joe Pye weed is kind of gone, but check this out. This is the Beyond Midnight Caryopteris. And this is one of those plants where you think, it's not going to do it this year. It's probably just going to be foliage. And then bam, right at the end of the season, it just bursts into color. And look at all of the pollinators on it right now. This guy is asleep. But I love it in this spot because most of the stuff here is kind of done by this time of year. And so it's really important to make sure you've got things in your garden that will be in bloom at the end of the season, just so you have some interest to carry you through all parts of the gardening season. You can see here below we've got some of these sky view hydrangeas that are starting to rebloom. And look at the old bloom. Still super pretty, but the new one just looks so fresh. I can't believe those are still blooming. Kind of crazy. On this side we've got our Nepeta, and it is starting to flush again. I mean, we've had a very long gardening season this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if this blooms again. I will say that this did not bloom as much as we were hoping for this year. So we'll see how it does in the spring. Hopefully it does a little bit better. And this spirea will be much bigger next year, so we'll get more impact. We've got Nepeta on this side as well, and then the little Henry right here is starting to put on its fall color. Look at that. I feel like we never get this. It always just like defoliates completely. So this is a little Henry Itea that gets little white blooms, which is most of the interest, and then you do get some fall color as well.
Do we want to talk about those roses?
No. So these are the Golden Celebration roses from David Austin, and we fight about these roses all the time because the bloom is super pretty. I know that Brian got some good photography of it this season. It's just like a buttery yellow color, and it's so pretty when it's in bloom, but it just sends out these like long canes, and it's supposed to be a shrub rose. It's only supposed to get 4x4, but for some reason, it just is like so wild and crazy. So unfortunately, we're probably gonna remove these and they are gonna go somewhere else. They might go somewhere else on our property and we like group them together with some sort of obelisk. Maybe we'll just give them to someone else that has more space. But you know, when you have a walkway like this, you don't really want a rose, something with thorns kind of reaching out and getting into the walkway. So lesson learned here. I would love to put another rose here, so that is another option. But we also might take, back in that madness is back there, there are 3 Cheyenne Sky grasses. So we might just dig those out and put them here. TBD, we'll see.
One thing before we move on, you guys, look at these North Pole arborvitaes.
They're big.
I cannot believe how tall they have gotten. What do you think?
Should I walk back here and show you how big?
I mean, if you guys remember...
This isn't even the biggest one, and look.
If you guys remember when we planted these, they were about half of Tyler's size. And this is the lowest spot of our garden. So granted, these really like water. They're actually bog plants. And so I'm sure that's why these are getting taller than all the rest of them, but they just look so beautiful and they're achieving that sort of look that we wanted to along the edge of the garden in such a perfect way in this spot. So
it just makes it feel a little bit formal.
Yeah.
And it's so nice that they are evergreen because even in the winter, there is some interest here to look at. Let's keep walking this way. We've got one, is it Midnight? I'll put the name on the screen. This is a sedum. We also planted 5 more of them in the peninsula and we lost every single one of those. This is the only one that survived. And this is a super dry spot up here. So I'm thinking down there they were just way too wet. But that's something that you don't know when you're planting in a new area. So we've got the sedum here, and then it is backed by the pink Picket Gara. This actually wintered over here. It is a perennial for us. And it was not in bloom until a few days ago. And then all of a sudden it was just like, I looked out the window and I was like, what is that pink out there? And it was the Gara.
It's also got
super well.
Yeah, it's got like branching going on in the middle.
It's very woody.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it's so ethereal looking right now.
This is our Horstman Blue Atlas cedar. It's doing really, really well. I thought we killed this thing when we moved it, but it's probably the bluest it's ever been. It gets a lot of sun here, and it's put on a lot of new growth this year. So super happy with that one. Back here in the corner, it just is like, this is probably one of the fullest places in our garden. We've got the zebra grass here, and then there is, what is this stuff called? Gooseneck loosestrife that just kind of, it grew up and then it fell over, which I don't mind. I mean, it's providing like, almost like a natural mulch to the ground, which is cool.
Yep, and we've started taking care of our poison ivy issue.
We have started. We still have a lot of work to do, but we have started. And we're just, I don't know, it's kind of scary touching it. It just like the oil freaks me out.
Yeah, we're gonna get in there and rip it out. And honestly, maybe when fall gets here, maybe it'll start to dry out a little bit, so it'll be a little bit easier to work with.
Yeah.
But who knows? Wow, this back corner is so pretty with all the color
Am I standing in the way?
contrast.
Yeah.
And we've got the oak leaf hydrangeas starting to give a little bit of their fall color. The Honor and Jobert anemones are coming. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so when we got engaged, it was in New York City. It was in October. And in every park we went to, all of their Honor and Jobert anemones were just filled to the brim with blooms. And so we are very symbolic and sentimental people. And we were like, we got to have some of those in our garden. And when they start to bloom, it's just a reminder of a really fun time in our life.
Yeah, and I love how they spread too. So when we planted them, there were probably only like 1 or 2 bloom shoots. And look, this year there are just so many bloom stalks coming.
All the way that way.
And they're going to be so beautiful. I'll show you 1 or 2 of them up close just so you can see. But it's just such an ethereal bloom that sticks up above everything else, and it's going to be so gorgeous, especially against the oak leaf hydrangea back there.
Yeah.
With all of the red and all the fall color. Wow, I just love this back corner.
The other thing I'll say about these is this is another plant for late season interest. Like if we didn't have this back here, of course it would have the oak leaf and there's still texture, but it would just feel a little flat. So by having this, it just adds some more interest for late season. We did plant these Everillo or Everillo Carex here this season, and they're doing really well. And they actually get way more sun than we originally thought, so I'm impressed. It's like a nice, bright chartreusey pop back here.
I think one of our tasks for next year is to improve our watering back here, so our irrigation. We did take it all up this year and put it back down new, but I just don't think we're getting enough coverage, just given this is the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And the dogwood that we're staring at right in the middle of the screen is evidence. So this is the new dogwood we put in this year. This is the Sunrise
Summer Gold
from
Isley
dogwood.
Nursery.
Yeah.
And when we first planted it, the tips kind of started to brown a little bit, and we were like, okay, we need to add more water. Added more water, and it was doing okay. And then about halfway through the season, it completely dropped all of its leaves. And we were like, well, okay, it's dead. And then we came out here a couple weeks later, and it was starting to regenerate. And now it's dropped all of its leaves again. So I think it's still alive. I mean, we've bent some of the branches, and it seems to be still alive. I think dogwoods are just difficult in the south. And especially back here, like Brian said, it's very dry. The soil drains very quickly. So we'll see. But it was really pretty back here.
Yes, I was at a beautiful nursery called Far West Nursery in Boise, Idaho last week. And I spoke with a gentleman who was an expert on trees about this. And he suggested that we get some probes to put around it, some
moisture meters,
to put around it so that we can officially sort of diagnose if it's getting too little water.
Yeah.
And then if it is getting too little water, that's actually good news, because then we can just surround it with a ring and add more. That way it waters deeply. And then hopefully in the spring, we'll get a flush of new leaves and it'll be happy in its place.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, moving on. So down here, we've got another rose from Bloomables. Do you remember the name of this one? It's a really pretty, like, peachy
I don't.
color.
We'll put this one on the screen because I think I got this one confused with another one.
Oh,
this one does smell
so
really good, and it's a really gorgeous pale pink, sort of maybe a little orange color. And I really, really like this rose. All the Bloomables roses, I'm just so impressed with.
Yeah, me too. The foliage is always pretty healthy. This one is starting to get a little bit of something going on.
And I think that's probably because we planted it pretty late back here, and it's in a lot of shade. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Our Japanese maple that we moved early on in the season is doing really well. There's only a couple branches in the back that are defoliated, but I mean, overall, it made it. And there were a lot of you people thought we should not have dug it up. But I am really glad that we put it here, because at night especially, we've got a spotlight on it underneath, and the structure of it is just so pretty back here, paired with the boxwoods. I'm excited to see it turn bright red here in a couple of weeks as we get closer and closer to fall.
I will say this is a blood good Japanese maple, and we were told that if you planted them in full sun, that they would get this really, really dark, beautiful red color. And this one actually has stayed green a lot of our time that we have had it, which is so interesting to me. So hopefully, hopefully we can get it to stay red for longer.
I think it will. I think that they go that like green color in the middle of summer though, and then they go back to red.
Yep.
We've got some work here to do on our boxwoods. I have orders to Brian that we need to have them cut lower because the Invincible wee white hydrangeas are finally getting tall, and their blooms were really pretty this year, but we just couldn't see them because the boxwoods were so tall. So we will trim these down, and next year you'll be able to see a little bright white pop. Oh, look at the Pearl Glam. I didn't even notice this. This is a Pearl Glam beauty berry, and we're not anticipating leaving it in this spot, but you know, the garden just gets busy throughout the season and things happen, and then here we are, it's fall and it's in its full glory.
Well, tell them why we planted it here. We really planted it here just to get it into the ground because it got so late in the season, and we were transplanting things around, and we had a spot here that we just decided, well, I guess that's a good spot for this for now.
Yeah.
And then it got way bigger than we thought it would get. But it's really pretty right now with all these purple berries.
Yeah, I love it. The river birch. Look how big it is. So we planted this 3 years ago. And this was when, you know, we didn't really pay attention to sizes of things. And it's gotten really big.
I think it's so pretty because the canopy is now just sort of grazing the top of the shed.
Yeah.
And I think that we're at a point where we can take out the limbs that are sort of down in the middle.
These.
Exactly, yeah. And then put in something that will sort of take up space in that layer so we can still see the birch bark.
Yeah.
But then like something like Raelia or something that would pop against the dark fence, but then also we could still see the area really well.
Yeah. I love it. Moving along this way, we have the nightlight sedum that, well, the ones that didn't get swallowed up by the Rudbeckia look pretty. I just love how bright yellow this is, and then it kind of ages to the orange. Or maybe it starts as the orange and ages to the yellow. Either way, it's really pretty. And again, this is another dry spot in our garden where the sedum, you know, we just don't even really think about it. I kind of forget about it until it shows up with the bloom.
And with these weigela in front, it's giving like very much fall color.
Yeah, these are the Midnight Sun weigela, and they didn't bloom this year, and honestly, they haven't looked great most of the season. This one's really pretty right now with the fall color, but hopefully they'll bloom next year. We've got the Niagara Falls panicum here. We've got some of my foxgloves that I planted in here. And then maybe you can come around the back here, Brian, and capture this. This is the Beyond pink Caryopteris, and it's just starting to bloom. And this one blooms really late. If you remember, the Beyond Midnight Caryopteris, the blue one, is already fully in bloom, and this one is just getting started. So another one that's really great to have in your garden for those late season blooms. And this one I think is only hardy to zones 7 to 9. So we made sure to put this in like a really, really hot spot of the garden, and it gets sun pretty much all day long now. I gotta talk about this. This is probably, other than coleus, this is the best annual you can get for your money. This is the Senorita Blanca Cleome, and there are only 3 of them in here. And if you were with us when we planted them, they started like this tall, and I think maybe like this big. And every time Brian plants these, I'm like, I don't know. But then by the end of the season, it's like amazing. And they've been in bloom all summer, no deadheading. I mean, I haven't fertilized these in weeks. Have you fertilized these recently?
No, and honestly, they just keep growing taller and taller and supporting themselves. We had 3 weeks of torrential rain in Charlotte about a month or 2 ago.
Yeah.
And they laid over a little bit, but once they laid over, they kind of just grew up from there.
Yeah, you can kind of see if you look where the blooms were going straight and then they just turned upwards.
Yeah.
But the difference between this, and I hope I'm getting this right, than your traditional cleome is that these don't have thorns, and I think they seed around less, or maybe they don't seed at all. Either way, it's an annual that we're going to be putting in more places next year. And there's this white color, and then there's like a purpley pink color, which is really, really pretty. The urn.
Yeah,
the lavender lady, is that right?
Yeah, that's
Mangave?
the lavender lady mangave. And then we've got
Creeping Jenny.
Creeping Jenny in there.
So if you remember when we first got this urn, we planted evening primrose in here. And they just couldn't hold up to the amount of water that we wanted to give the mangave. So we pulled those out and put in the Creeping Jenny, and actually prefer it.
I do too.
I feel like the Creeping Jenny accentuates the height of the urn without taking away from it. Like you can still see the urn, you know?
Yeah, it's such a formal and like beautiful look for it to be spilling over the edge like that. Even the growth habit is like very geometrical and interesting, and I think it just really highlights the urn.
So we will have to take the mangave out of the urn and bring it inside for the winter because they do not overwinter here. But that means we get to plant some more stuff in here for fall coming up. So stay tuned for that. And this is the Jensen urn from Campagna if you are interested in it. And I think this is the small one, right?
I believe there's a larger version, yes.
Yeah.
And then we have that on a pedestal.
Yes. And there's drip running up through the bottom, which makes it super easy. Again, another thing we don't have to think about.
That's right.
So nice. We got to show off this lantana. I completely forgot about it.
Oh.
So this is, I don't even know, is this the bandana lantana or is it just a random yellow?
I think this is just a random look. We, whenever we were shooting the photos actually for Charlotte Magazine, I ran out because there were a few spaces that I had wished we had planted some annuals in. And I think it's a few spaces that Tyler had mentioned. And he also mentioned lantana, and I was just not on board at the time. And it's definitely something we're going to lean into next year.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Again, always in bloom. You don't have to deadhead it. And some of them, I think, are perennial in the south, right?
Yes, in the deep south, you can get them to come back almost every year. And they also have versions of these that will get like 6 or 7 feet tall and wide that will just go crazy as like big shrubs. This one is a version that stays pretty small. And
Which I
don't
prefer.
believe it'll come back next year.
To be honest, I prefer the staying small.
Yeah.
I like that.
It just looks so pretty capping the walkway right here, especially with the evergreen and all the, it's just a really great spot.
The Everything's Rosy Coneflower, I'm going to talk about this every time. It is my favorite perennial right now. It has been in bloom for months, and you can see we're still getting fresh blooms. And I know that some people think that, you know, once coneflowers are done, they are kind of an eyesore in the garden. But we like to leave them because we get yellow finches that will come and feed on the seeds. And so, you know, it might be ugly to us, but then you get to attract other animals to your garden, which is really fun. Blue Fortune Agastaki, another perennial that, I mean, if you don't have it, you got to get some. And this is, I think there are 6 plants in here, which we probably didn't need, but we can't do anything on a small scale.
I really like how it fills the space.
Yeah,
and
I did too.
One thing I'll also say about this is that every time I thought like, oh, okay, it's done blooming, it's going to go out of bloom, we would get a brand new like flush of growth and then blooms on top of the growth. So it kind of just covered all the old up.
Yeah, and we probably could come in and deadhead some of this, but I mean, I don't mind it, and the pollinators still come to it, so
yeah,
it works out. Green twister coneflower. Still, I don't understand. Like, we're heading to fall. How is it still putting out blooms?
And it's such a unique bloom. I think there's so many of these that are just like super unique on their own that you could plant in your garden. I could have a whole garden of these.
It's so pretty. And this rose, my God. What's the name of it again? Mother of Pearl.
Yes.
This is the Mother of Pearl rose from Bloomables. And it is honestly, I mean, look, we haven't sprayed it at all. I promise. We have not sprayed this rose with any kind of pesticide, any kind of preventional spray at all this entire season. and it's still got green, glossy leaves as if it's freaking April.
And look at the amount
How?
of blooms on there. I mean, we have probably had 30 or 40 blooms on this plant over the course of the season. And it's got strong stems. It stood up to all of our crazy rains. And it, like Tyler said, it's just so lush looking all the time that it's a really great cap for this spot on the walkway.
And we planted it this year, and look how, oh my God, I just poked myself. Look how big it is.
Yep.
I mean, that's insane. And when you, I'm gonna do it. When you compare it to this rose over here, I mean, listen, this is a David Austin rose. This is the one that was unnamed, and it is still very pretty, but it is not nearly as full as this other rose from Bloomables.
Yep.
And I hate to do direct comparison like that, but for us, you know, fullness is really important just as much as the bloom and health, especially in the South. And we haven't necessarily had problems with this rose, but it is just not performing like the other one.
Yeah, we love our David Austin roses. We love English roses, but I will say, like, I think that they're just a little harder to deal with in the South for us because
We have to fight for them so hard.
Yes.
And like, I think the older we get, the less we want to fight. We just want it to be pretty.
That's right.
This is a Mugo pine called Pesto, and I'm going to point out the big conifers that we've planted this year as we go along, so that you guys can know how well they are doing, because I think people are somewhat afraid to plant conifers in the South. I remember when we told Brian's mom that we bought a blue spruce, she was like, "You can grow a blue spruce at your house?" And yes, we can, which we weren't sure either, but they're working. So this is a Mugo pine called Pesto. It is a ground cover pine, and basically how this works is it will get little candles that grow up in the spring, and then they kind of fall over, and eventually it will be about 3 feet wide, and it will be almost touching the walkway, probably, I would think.
Which is exciting because we are going to be stoning the walkway in the next few weeks.
We are?
So, we are, yes.
I feel like we've
promise.
been talking about it all season.
We definitely have, but we had to find the right design, and I have done a little work designing all of it, and we have some plants coming for it. So I think you guys are really going to like it, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I think it will be cool. I do want you to capture this. You can't see it from where you are because of the coleus.
Oh, yes.
But there is a little hottie panicle hydrangea in here, and it's actually turning pink. Look at that.
Honestly, it's been so long since we have had panicle hydrangeas actually turn the colors that they are supposed to that I'm so impressed by this plant.
I should also point out the Carolina Sweetheart Redbud behind this looks like it has gone to war. Number one, it's crooked. So we need to get in there and stake it up.
I think you can see it from this angle that it's crooked.
It's very crooked. So we just need to get a stake or a cable maybe and lean it that way.
I leaned it over the other day thinking I could just push it, and the cane snapped. And
I was like, oh, you cracked the tree.
I thought surely I had cracked the tree in half that easily, but it wasn't that easy.
We'll see how it performs next year. I don't know.
Yeah, we've been hearing things about redbuds in North Carolina, and so I think we're gonna test this out because we really, really love this tree.
Yeah.
And see how it does.
Let's talk about these coleus.
Lord.
So this is the ridiculous coleus. Last time we saw you guys, we thought they had maxed out. Clearly they didn't. I don't know if we will put coleus in this spot again.
It looks like the coleus are like you can jump into it like a pool.
Like there's nothing else planted here. It would seem. There's a ton of stuff planted here.
Yeah.
We put 5 in here. I think we probably could have gotten away with 3. So maybe we'll just do less next year. Now don't get me wrong, it is really, really pretty. And I have enjoyed it very much so. But it's just a little bit too vigorous for this spot.
Yeah, and also this is sort of the crown of this new peninsula garden.
Yeah.
And so I think we want something here that all throughout the season will stay sort of at its perfect size that we want it. And that way everything speaks to each other. We don't have something that's just sort of like the show with nothing else going on around it. But there is definitely a place for this coleus.
Maybe instead of this one, what if we put the mini-me chartreuse here? Like, what if we just did a couple of those?
I think that could be
because that would be shorter, but you would still get the fullness of a coleus, and then we could plant more supertunias or whatever underneath it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, a great option. Because also, there's like this beautiful grass under here, and my ginkgo is like drowning back here. So what will be funny is that those are going to turn very fall colors, both of them actually. And so when we take those coleus out in a few weeks, we'll have like a brand new garden here.
Wow.
We're going to be discovering our garden again.
The Mini Vista Indigo supertunias are doing pretty good. We've got this side not so hot, but I mean, this is the time where we're probably going to pull them out in the next couple of weeks anyway. So when I said this is your last look at the summer garden, I meant it. So get a look. I mean, I do love this. I think this is my favorite supertunia.
Yeah, and honestly, I fertilized these a few weeks back, and they have been flushing pretty good here since we've gotten a little bit of cool weather. And they are, it's just really, the way that it glitters because the fading of the blooms is just so interesting. I don't think there are many other supertunias that do that.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention before you move on.
The grass.
Is the grass.
I was literally just about to say.
Yeah, so if you guys can see, we have had some issues with our grass this year. First of all, I believe that we had some sort of a disease in the grass, and it killed off a lot of it. And then what took over was weeds, which is actually interesting because over along this side, the weeds actually look like grass now, but it's not in the best shape, and we are having somebody come and help us this week to revive the grass in the yard. They're going to do some of our fall reseeding.
Yeah. So we always have the yard, we always have the lawn aerated every fall and then overseed with fescue. And the other thing is fescue grass really is a cool season grass. So, you know, every year, like July, August, it starts to brown out. And Brian is always like, the grass is dying. And I'm like, no, it's dormant. But to your point, it is unsightly. So there's that. And then we also got a sun shade mix of seed to put back here last season. And now we are full sun. So I think there were a lot of things against us this year, but it has looked worse.
It has looked worse. And I will say too, the spot where you're standing is just because of the runoff from the new walkway.
Yeah.
Once we put stone in there and we start planting it the way that I'd like to plant it, it will really help with the runoff and we won't have this issue right here.
Yeah.
But, you know, stick around. There may be bigger projects coming to take care of all
Here
of
we
this.
go. Never ends. What is this called? White Wands Veronica.
I just can't believe that white wands is always around. It feels like there's always blooms no matter what.
Literally, we put these in the ground this year and haven't touched them since. It's kind of amazing. And the pollinators love it. I mean, now this is getting a little crazy. We could have cut this back, but it's still in bloom, so I like it.
I have to show you the pollinators actually before we move on.
They're everywhere.
Well, and the plant itself is really ethereal looking because the spikes kind of just like stick up out of nowhere. And even when the bottom of the bloom starts to go, the top of it sort of extends itself and just ends up being a really, really pretty flower.
We've got pink profusion salvia here, which is super tall. I mean, I didn't believe that it was going to be this tall, but it actually is for a salvia. The other ones we have are pretty low, but it makes a nice pairing with the one in a melon.
I think that's right.
One in a melon coneflower. I love, okay, there's a couple of color combinations in the garden that I love. One is lime green and purple. The other one is peach or like an orange color with hot pink.
Yeah.
Those are two of my favorite color combinations. We did plant this after spring, so we didn't really get to see it in its full glory. I can't wait to see what this looks like next spring.
Yeah, and we'll probably come through and shear all of this back in the next few weeks as we prepare for fall cleanup and all of that greatness.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right. It's so healthy right now. That's going to come back way bigger next year and be really beautiful.
Goldspire ginkgo is doing really, really well. That is going to start getting its fall yellow color here shortly. And then back here, I got to talk about Bonnie. This is our Bonnie Blue Spruce, and you know, she did it. We
I'm
made
pretty
it.
proud.
There are a couple of stems. There's one right here and one up here, and I think a couple in the back where it kind of dropped its needles. But like when you're standing from afar, you can't notice that, right?
Yeah, no, it just looks like a beautiful blue spruce.
And this is the amount of growth. So when you're looking for a conifer, this is the amount of growth that it put on just this season. So when we bought it, it was like here. And it has grown this much in a season. And all of these little nodes are where it's gonna push out growth next year. So if you think about it, if we go from here to here, next year is probably gonna be this tall. And then after that, I mean, soon it's gonna be taller than me. Give it a couple years.
Yeah, those dahlias back there are doing something pretty.
They are.
It's definitely dahlia season. So these dahlias were planted years ago, and I think we've told you guys this over and over.
A long time.
But they come back every year, and they just overwinter because we just don't get harsh enough winters here. And this year I kind of wanted them to be back here and poke up because we just had this new area to fill.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did, because right now we really need some color back here. And since it cooled off a little bit, they are really, really pretty. I mean,
It's nice.
it looks like floret back here.
We should probably dig them out and put them somewhere else, though.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I would like to try them in containers over on the patio. I think that would be really pretty.
That's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I love it. There was a Vanderwolf pine back here that
Sad.
sadly did not make it. So we are one conifer down so far on this tour.
So far on the tour.
There is, okay, so this birdhouse, I haven't talked about this in a long time. There is this birdhouse here, and I think we both are feeling like we don't love it. You like it still?
I love it. I'm not saying...
there was, at one point you said, maybe we should just put that in storage.
No, I think I love the style of it. I think it's super unique. Now, when I look at other obelisks, I think maybe we have a more formal style now, but I still do really love this obelisk and the birdhouse on top of it. Every year, there's a little house wren that is there. So, I mean, maybe we'll look for another obelisk or a tree to go here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So we have been looking for a very specific crabapple to go here, and we can't find it. And I actually called a garden center by us the other day because they got a new order of trees in. And I said, did you guys get any crabapples? And she said, well, actually, we don't carry crabapples because they don't do well in this area. And I hung up the phone and I was like, okay, well, we have 2 in our garden that are doing really well. So if you're in the Charlotte area and you own a garden center, please carry crabapples because we would love to buy one.
Look at this hibiscus. I mean,
it is still going.
What week of this is that we are going on with fresh blooms? I mean,
we should have counted.
We've probably had 300 blooms on this hibiscus this year. This is the Lilac Crush hibiscus.
There's one back there.
It's one of my favorites.
See if I can get it.
You're right. It's one of my favorites, and the color, I will say, is a little bit more pink because we are on round 3 of fresh blooms for this, which is just crazy to me because I think we usually just expect one flush. Sometimes there have been times where we've gotten more than one, and it's only in really, really wet places of the garden. And this is the highest spot in our garden, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense that we've gotten this many blooms, but I'll take it.
It actually is funny because we used to have it down in the cottage bed, and it just always seemed so cramped. But up here, like, we gave it space, and it's beautiful.
Yep, and it's providing the perfect layer and
it didn't
the pop
flop
of color.
This year. Like none of the weird growth habit that we experienced down there happened up here. So this is another thing to say, like if something is not working in your garden, maybe relocate it to another spot and see how it does. Maybe that will change things. Let's talk about this. Actually, I haven't mentioned this. We planted a ginger wine 9-bark right here. And she's crispy.
Yeah, she doesn't look great right now, but it is...
I didn't notice that until we got over here.
Pushing out new growth, I believe. So
I really, really want this to work right here.
I think that we're going to be okay. It's crispy, but 9-barks are iffy for this low down in the south anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that as long as we water this correctly, we'll be okay. There's new growth coming out all over it.
So this is just your regular old weeping Alaskan cedar. And when we planted it, it had started to drop some needles, and I was like, oh no, this isn't gonna work. But it has really pushed a lot of new growth. This from here to here in a season. So I think the height on this is 12 feet tall by about 6 to 8 feet wide. So we put it here so that we could get some natural screening from neighbors and such. And also this just feels like a stately spot for a big conifer. And we also wanted to keep in mind to not block the window to the shed. And so eventually, I mean, Bonnie and this might touch, and we'll have to move the perennials and such that are in here, but I love it right here.
I think it's just so fun and playful. Even when you were just touching the branches, like the movement of the branches when the wind blows is pretty.
Wait,
Is
he on me?
A bug on you and you're not screaming?
He's gone. I must have knocked him off. Oh well.
Our wedding rose.
Oh yeah. This is what is it called? Oh, look at this one. Look how pretty.
I think it's,
Just watch your step right here.
I don't remember the name of it. We'll put the name on the screen.
Radiance.
Yes, I think that's right.
Beautiful.
We have transplanted this twice this season, if you guys remember, and it looked not so healthy for a little bit, but it's come back again, and it's looking gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Right now, it's hiding behind this coleus, though.
Yeah, this is the lime time coleus, and I'm just gonna say it, I don't like this in the full sun. It is just like, the color is just so washed out. I wish it was more green. We're gonna have to just keep this in mind that this one needs to be in a shady spot.
Yeah.
And then we've got Supertunia Tiara Blue underneath, which is holding its own. And then these are the primroses that we had in the urn, and we put them in the ground here, and they're spreading like crazy.
I'm sure next year we'll have double that many.
I don't even know that I want them here, but it is what it is. We got to get a move on because it's going to be a very long tour.
Yeah.
So we did lose a little hottie right here on the hill. So we're going to have to replace that. But that's not a problem. We also lost 2 more over here. It was very hot this year.
Yeah.
So this is what the Union Garden is looking right now. There is one little hottie left, which is in bloom.
It's so pretty.
It's beautiful. It's also starting to turn pink a little bit. And then the Siberian iris. I love the way these look over here.
Same.
I think that we might be able to divide these next year.
I would love to. And I think we have talked about some different plans for this garden. But since we lost those 2 little hotties, and that may have honestly been because I think we had rust on a lot of the plants over here this year that we got to a little bit late. But it's sort of made us question if we want boxwoods in this garden to make it a little bit more formal and lush. And I think that could be something that looks really, really pretty with the style of the espaliered crabapple. And honestly, those Siberian iris are like the perfect pop of color in between all of that. So I think it could be really pretty.
This is one of the crab apples that I had mentioned. So this is in an espalier form. This will bloom white in the spring. Can't wait to see that. On the shade side here, we've got our hostas, which are, it's about time for them to go.
Yeah.
It always gets like this at the end of the season. I mean, they're beautiful most of the season, and then we get to the end and it's like, all right, it's done.
Every time we make a video over here, I say I'm going to paint those electrical boxes white. And I haven't done that. So maybe I should bring the camera and do it so that I'll be held to that that promise I keep making.
I would love to see it. There's also a weeping white spruce in here, and it's getting a second leader. What should we do about that? Should we cut that out maybe? Or should we just let it take over and start training that one? Like, look at this. The post is over here, but then there's a leader that's forming over here. Kind of strange.
It's very interesting.
All right, let's continue on. We've got a little bit to see in the cottage bed. Oh, I didn't talk about this corner. So this corner is another spot where Brian planted annuals, kind of like at a last minute thing. And we always struggled with this corner of what to do. And I think we decided this is just gonna be like an annual corner every year. And we'll just change it up. We'll do different things, layer differently. And then the red bud will be behind it, which will be like a nice backing layer. But there's some lantana in here. There's some salvia. It's not doing great because we planted it so late. But next year we'll get an early start, and this will be a really, really pretty spot, I think. Over here in the cottage bed, we've got gorgeous David Austin rose. This is Carding Mill. Now this is one that performs really well for us. It's about to fall apart, but it's looking really, really beautiful.
We do have to be careful over here because we have
The yellow jacket.
yellow jacket
Oh, we gotta hurry.
nest right there. Is there one on my head?
No,
Okay,
but
good.
it flew by.
Okay.
These are the Falling in Love Sweetly anemones. And you can see this is like your standard anemone back here in the back from Brian's mom, which is much taller. And then down in front here are the ones from Proven Winners. So if you've got a spot in your garden where you want something a little bit low growing, I would suggest these. But if you've got a spot where you want to just kind of let them go wild and you want some height, you can go for the standard variety.
Look at this scar.
Oh my God, this is the Stratosphere White. It's like a bouquet. It's leaning forward, which maybe it's not getting enough sun right here, but I love it.
And
this
will
is
come back
perennial,
next
right?
year. Yeah, this will come back. So I feel like we should move it somewhere where we want it year round, and maybe where it gets a little bit more sun because it's so pretty right now.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at the box here, but I want you to see this alyssum. Look how it's flowing over the edge. I'm obsessed with this.
Yeah, this is
Just
a
imagine
really
if
pretty
it was Snow Princess or White Knight and it was just like really, really bright white. It would
Yep.
be even more stunning.
Yeah, the layering here in this corner of the garden is stunning. What do you think of the willow now at the end of the season?
Okay, I was going to talk about the willow. I don't love it, but I do like that there is a tree here, and I do like that we can kind of prune on it. So we pruned it back to like this size probably 2-3 months ago,
Yeah.
and it put on all this growth. So I will say that it's nice to have something here that you can control the size of whenever you want. Like willows, you can just prune on them as much as possible. But I do wish that it was the tricolor willow and not just a willow.
Yeah, maybe we'll
But-
try to find. So we thought this was a tricolor willow, and I think this is just a pink flamingo, potentially.
I can't remember because we bought so many. I think this
Yes.
is the third one that we bought.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna actually try to find one that has white on it already so that we can confirm. And then if we plant that one and it doesn't do it, then I'm gonna assume it's our climate or our
Yeah.
soil or something like that.
Okay, Conifer alert.
Yeah.
This is Pave Minaret Bald Cypress, doing amazing. Look at this.
It's going crazy. It's like there's a brand new tree.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. We might need to cut that out, but this will turn like a orangey amber color here in a couple of weeks for fall. So this is not an evergreen. So conifer evergreen is not always interchangeable, so something to keep in mind. But this is a really great option if you've got a wet area in your garden. And this will only get about 6 feet wide, I think. So it'll probably just touch the fence, and 10 feet tall. So this will be a nice cap right here next to the arbs. And again, another reason to have a tree here that you can prune on.
Yep.
Because as this gets bigger, you might want to prune on this more. You might even want to take it out. But we got years for that. Our containers are doing really well. Look at the geraniums.
Wow.
These are Maverick White geraniums that we grew from seed. Lovely. And then check out the box. So I think our last video we did actually was we pruned the box. We treated it for spider mites because the Super Bina got spider mites really, really bad. I've never seen that before on an annual, but we fertilized it. We've been fertilizing it, and I mean, it has flushed back really beautifully. The coleus has not stopped growing, but the verbena also has come back. The alyssum came back. I think the only thing that didn't come back is the supertunia,
Yeah,
which I'm kind of surprised about.
I am surprised about that. I'm really happy with this box this year, and
Yeah.
I think that it's because we have kept it, I know this sounds crazy, but we've kept it a little bit more tame than usual. And
This is tame?
I know, and I think next year maybe we won't put a coleus in here at all. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
go even more tame and plant I don't know, just one variety, like one annual in here all the way down to see how that looks.
Yeah.
But I really like being able to see through it whenever you walk through the entryway into the garden. We've hosted several people over the past few days for garden tours, and it's just so ethereal when you walk through here. So
Yeah.
I'm really proud of this box.
I also love how the path is looking. Now there are a couple of things in here that I think we're gonna move back. Like this Stervilla is like really reaching forward, but look at this. This is one of the double impatiens from Proven Winners called Wisteria. And these always get like a small shrub by the end of the year. But I just love seeing it in here with the Hakanakloa, right? That's Hakanakloa grass?
Yep, that's right.
Again, purple and lime green, one of my favorite color combos in the garden. And just seeing it along the path here is really nice. I think we should plant more of those along here next year.
Yeah, I think that's a good call,
They're
especially
really
because it's a
pretty.
wet spot. And I think we're learning, we're trying to be gardeners now that we're, I don't know, 4 or 5 years into gardening that are embracing our realities.
Yeah.
And if we have a wet spot, we're not going to plant something that doesn't like wet spots.
Yep.
And so I think that next year it'll be smart to plant more of that will really, really grow and fill out right there.
Yeah. All right, let's head to the front garden before we lose light.
Before we do
something
that,
else?
the agapanthus, if you guys are seeing them,
Oof.
I made a mistake and I put some fish emulsion fertilizer on them, and they seem to have not liked that. So the tips browned a little bit, which is unfortunate, but the rest of the plants look healthy, and I know that they'll come back really nice here. It's just the tips that are not happy. So don't fertilize your agapanthus with fish emulsion.
The more you know. Right here, we do have the dog hobble. What's the official name? Paisley pup.
Yep.
Planted in an urn, and it's actually really pretty.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of this when we first planted it.
It's so interesting to see the white and the pink on here. And the plant is just gorgeous. Now, I will say it doesn't seem like it's getting enough light here because it's reaching forward. So maybe that goes in the ground next year, but I think it's just such an interesting little moment here.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right, let's go to the front.
Now we can head to the front. All right, everyone, it is a new day because we were losing a lot of light last night. I got a haircut, so that's why my hair looks different. But we're gonna wrap up here in the front garden. So right here at the gate, we've got 2 containers that are just overflowing with caladiums. So these are the Vava Vivid Orchid Caladium from Proven Winners. And I think this might be my favorite. Now, we do need to get some new planters that kind of match the scale of the gate that are a little bit larger. But I do really love having something here at the entryway. And we do love this wicker basket look. So I think we're going to try to get some of those just bigger. Now, you can tell on this side, we get a little bit more detail because this one gets more shade and kind of protection from the sun versus this side. They are a little bit paler in detail and color, but they're still really, really pretty. So this is going to be a definite repeat for us next year. We're really, really liking this. And honestly, I don't know about you, Brian, but I love having just this in the container. Like imagine if the container was up here and it matched the scale of the gate and then we just had these overflowing. I think that would be so pretty.
I think it would be gorgeous. I also think that that's part of how this specific variety grows. They all grow together in unison to overflow. So I think that's what makes the pot look perfect is because it has this one specimen just overflowing out of it.
And I want to say that there are like maybe 6 bulbs in each one. There's not a lot. So that just shows you, you don't have to go crazy with buying a bunch of them. So we're gonna take off this way first. We've got the Wicked Witch Coleus here, which we've of course talked about before. This is actually another one that has not put on blooms yet. So keep that in mind next year when you're shopping for Coleus. Wicked Witch and Golden Dreams Coleus are very, very late to set their blooms. We also have 3 Orange Glow Knockout Roses here that are clearly stretching to get sun. We are still getting some blooms on them, which is pretty, but we're gonna have to move them. They are just, I don't think they love this spot right here. And I don't know, what do you think we'll put here, Brian? More Coleus?
I think Coleus could work. I was also thinking something like Weigela that we can put some color in that gets sort of bushy because I like the idea of something crowding the bottom of that gorgeous crabapple.
It's got to be something that can take like a part sun situation, because there is sun, but it's just not necessarily enough to keep these roses happy.
Yep.
We've got a green wall spire crabapple here. So this is the other crabapple from what I mentioned yesterday. And this one also blooms white. This is from first edition Shrubs and Trees. And this time of year, it starts to yellow and get its fall color, and that is perfectly normal. What's nice about this one is it grows a little bit columnar. So if you've got a spot in your garden that is pretty narrow, but you still want some early spring blooms, this would be a great option for you. We've got our other caladiums here in the ground. This is the Snow Flurry caladium from Proven Winners, and I mean, just amazing performance.
I'm so impressed with these.
We planted these really like midsummer, and we were like, I don't know, it's kind of late, but they really took off, and it only took 4 or 5 weeks maybe for them to get like this, and they are just flourishing all season for us. You only have to fertilize them about once a month, if even that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time we fertilized these.
I think it was probably a month ago.
Yeah. And so this is another repeat. I think next year we're going to do Snow Flurry and the Vava Vivid Orchid, because both are really impactful in the garden. And it's nice to see this like bright pop against the Wicked Witch. It's really cool contrast. And then over here in this hole, you might remember in the last video, we showed you the Firefly Oriental Spruce that we planted was on its way out, and we did ultimately pull it. I think we just overwatered it, and that is somewhat common for conifers, especially in the south with heavy clay. We do have something coming here for the spot that we'll hopefully be able to show you in a couple of weeks. So let's take a look at the front of the house. We have made one addition up here since we last saw you guys. We planted a camellia here on the corner. So this is something that I think we mentioned when we were changing up this flower bed this summer. We knew we wanted a camellia here for some additional late season interest. This is October Magic from Southern Living Plant Collection, and it is just starting to open. I don't know if you can see this one here, but really pretty white center with like a pink edge, and it's just covered in buds. So this is going to be really nice here in a couple of weeks, and it's evergreen, so it'll look like that all season long, which is great. The Supertunia Tiara Blue are about done. This is pretty normal for us up here in this spot. This gets just like baked with sun all day long. So we will be pulling these probably in another week or so and replacing them with some pansies or violas. And I was impressed with this Supertunia up here this season. I don't know, what about you, Brian? What do you think?
I think that they were really pretty. They're a dark, bold color, and I will say this year we got a lot of people stopping and telling us how beautiful they thought they were.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, this is pretty typical. Mid to late September, they start to look crispy. But still a gorgeous color for the blooms that are left. Okay, I've got to talk about this conifer. So this is another conifer we added this season. This is a Bush's Lace Engelmann spruce, and it is doing really, really well. I would say between this and the Weeping Alaskan Cedar, these are probably the top 2 performers for us. And I'm surprised by this, aren't you?
I really am, and it really didn't skip a beat. There was like one small branch on the back. I think
we broke that in transit.
Yeah, and so it really hasn't browned or anything.
Yeah, it's stunning. Now I will say, and I probably mentioned this in another video, if you saw our Isley tour when we went to Oregon, there was one there that was like 40 feet tall. So I don't know, we'll see how long it takes us to get there. Our front porch pots, oh my gosh. This was somewhat of a fail for this side. This side, beautiful, huge. I mean, our doorbell camera doesn't even work anymore because this is so big. This side, she struggled a little bit. So we were trying to run the drip a little bit more and give this extra water. But what Brian discovered the other day was the drip was actually crimped underneath the pot. And so this wasn't getting water for God knows how long.
Probably 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to get some pot feet and kind of raise both of these up to make sure that doesn't happen again. At this point in the season, we're going to pull these out in a couple of weeks anyway, replace them with fall stuff. But they were really pretty for most of the season, I will say. We also did Boston ferns hanging this year. We bought these from the garden center and then took them out of the little plastic and put them in our own hanging baskets, which I really love, and they are massive. But this is something else we'll have to change in the next couple of weeks. And maybe we've never done hanging baskets in the winter.
I think it would be fun if
violas.
we did something interesting in there.
I would love to do like maybe white or something that is kind of nondescript for like, I'm thinking of like holiday decorations.
Yeah, that could be gorgeous. It could also be interesting to play with planting like something like violas out the sides on the bottoms. Like if we popped holes in there and planted them upside down.
That could be
just knowing
interesting.
they aren't really going to trail or anything, and they'll just put off blooms right off the top of them. So that could be really interesting.
Okay, maybe we'll do that. Okay, I think that is about it for the front garden. Why don't we pop over to the picket fence and wrap this up? All right, so we're gonna end here with the newest spot in our garden, our picket fence garden. Now, if you have been following us this season, you know that this was kind of just a ratty mess before with old shrubs. And so we had all this pulled out, we had the picket fence installed, and then we just went to town planting. And I think our thought was we wanted a little bit more of a wilder look up here. But what we have learned is that we are not loving it. It is, for the front of our house, I think it's just not as formal as we would like to lean. And you guys know us, we love to plant in big drifts. We love boxwoods, we love hydrangeas, and we don't really have any of that up here. We do have some really great perennials. We've got coneflowers up here. We do have this new Rudbeckia from Walter's Gardens called Treasure Trove. And I gotta say, I don't know if we have footage of this, but when we received it, it was like, we thought it was dead. And we were like, you know what? There's a little bit of green on it. Let's plant it. So we cut it like all the way back to the root system almost. And look at that. It's beautiful. Still lots of blooms. I mean, the Rudbeckia in our backyard is done. And this one is still going. We paired it with the, is that Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes salvia?
I think that's right.
Which is really pretty. And the pollinators are still going on that. There's some things in here that we're going to keep, right? Like, we're not just gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, we've got foxgloves in here that are beautiful. Baptisia will be nice and bushy next year. But it's also really wet, and we didn't know that when we were planting up here. So I actually removed some of the drip about halfway through the season, and that still didn't really help. I mean, it's just like squishy when you walk in here. So I think we're going to do some hydrangeas maybe back that way. And then all of my, sadly, every single one of my blue grandma grasses died because it was so wet. So that's a really sad thing. But the chocolate fountains mimosa is beautiful. I mean, do you remember what this looks like when you planted it?
Yes, it was very scrawny. It had I think it got eaten by some sort of a bug at the garden center.
It looks bad.
But I really like the shape of it, and I'm glad that I went with my gut, because now look at the shape, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I love it. So this will be some really nice blooms next summer. We do have, there's some salvia in here that, again, you know, I think we lost one of those. This is the lemon jade sedum, which looked really good for most of the season. And now it's starting to look not so hot. So there's gonna be some things that we change over here next season. We do have one very positive that I wanna show you on the other side. So this is the Plum Perfect Rose from Bloomables, and it has just thrived over here. These are the kind of things that we wanna continue to add up here. I love seeing roses up here, and the blooms on this are so big. When you're coming around the corner, you can really see it, it just pops. It doesn't really have a scent, but the blooms are just amazing. And again, this one has been super low maintenance for us almost all season. There's not even drip on this side. I mean, it's just out here doing its thing. And then I have to talk about this. So this is the red castor bean that Brian wanted to grow this year. We started them from seed indoors in January, I think. And then when we planted them out, there are 3 here, and they were teeny tiny. And the leaves were so small, and I just kept fertilizing it and fertilizing it and fertilizing it every week. And look at this. That's insane. I will point out, and you know, people have told us this, and we know every single part of this plant is poisonous. So if you have animals, pets, you want to make sure that you put this in a spot where they aren't going to get to it. But it is really cool. I do think this is probably well suited somewhere else in our garden, not up front by the driveway. But I don't know. I'm impressed with it still. All right, I think that does it for the last look here at the summer garden. Thank you guys for hanging there with us on our summer break. We've got a lot of fun fall projects planned and for the holidays. So make sure if you're not subscribed to our channel, you go ahead and click that subscribe button so you get all of our updates. Thank you for watching today's video. From our garden to yours, we'll see you soon. Bye.